You haven't been to the races until you've been to the Boolyah Camel Races. It's the big one, the Melbourne Cup of Camel Racing. Bring your camping gear and light up the campfire, or spoil yourself with a luxury glamping stay. There'll be great live music, plus 2 days of the best camel racing action in Australia. Check out boolyahcamelraces.com.au.
And a very good morning. It's a Monday morning. Don't you love Mondays? What was that song by Bob Geldof? I hate Mondays. I should know the lyrics off by heart. Hope you had a great weekend. I hope your team won. Mine didn't. Mine got beaten by the Western Bulldogs, the doggies, yesterday. A hard-fought game. That's what we always say when we lose, a hard-fought game. But we should have won it anyway. It's just me being a poor loser. But what can you do about that as I turn up my headphones so I can hear myself? Before we get into the show, some of the news that's making news around the country and around the globe too. Peace talks between the US and Iran in Switzerland reportedly broke up on Sunday local time after 80 minutes, a whole 80 minutes following an insulting message by the US president, said officials from Tehran. Shock horror. A new UK PM is looking increasingly likely after Andy Burnham won a Manchester by-election last week, walloping the Nationalist and Reform UK party in the process, setting up a likely challenge to Mr Starmer as Labor leader. He'll most likely go today or tomorrow, I would think. We should get one of our UK correspondents on to talk about it. Maybe Basil Valentine could come on and talk about the demise of the UK and Starmer. Australia has filled its China beef quota, triggering a 55% tariff for the rest of 2026. Now, meat industry leaders warn it means significant deterioration of trading conditions, which is just what the farmers need to know, that we've still got another 6 months of really, really hard yakka, which they do quite well, by the way. Goulburn Valley communities are banding together to protect high-performing agricultural land and wildlife corridors from being impacted by renewable energy projects. And a very good morning to the good folks of Dookie, who are putting up a real battle. And I'm very, very impressed with my wife's hometown, which is Chairperson. They do not want those monstrosities popping up all around them and destroying great agricultural land and also destroying communities. Now let's find out what the weather is right around the country.
I didn't choose this life. I was born to live it. So was Dad, Pa, his dad, and his dad before that.
Come on, ladies.
You're supposed to be slowing down, you know.
It's payback for all the free labour you got out of me as a kid.
Ah.
I learned from watching my mum and dad and how they work together. So does my sister Sally.
Any trains?
Righto.
Feet up.
I'll always remember these days. It's the happiest days of my life. Together as a family.
Oh, you're so lucky I love you.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that about right, is it?
I don't know how you're going to deal with all this.
Deal with what?
6 million. debt?
Most farmers are in this amount of debt. As farmers, we gamble with the weather every day, and it's a risk we take.
You have no idea what I'm going through.
Maybe you should talk to someone professional.
Oh my God, no, I'm fine.
No, you're not, Alison.
You and your dad's coward.
Play a game of footy, all right?
Where's heaven?
What?
Where's heaven?
The sky, I think.
Can we go there?
Good morning. Those who've just woken up, it's a Monday and you've got 5 days of being responsible, okay? Maybe you could have a bit of in the middle of the week, but the hump day, you could have a couple of tipples, but we have to be grown up, so my wife tells me. Water management is and should be a big deal in our country, but are we getting it right? Now, our guest today represents the Limestone Coast Water Alliance. By the way, the Limestone Coast in South Australia is absolutely magnificent. Now, the Alliance was formed in response to concerns about the current review of their region's water allocation plan. The Lower Limestone Coast Water Allocation Plan is up for review after more than a decade. The plan will govern the allocation, take, use and transfer of groundwater in the area, so we can understand why those affected must have, inverted commas, confidence in how those decisions are made. The Alliance is pursuing greater transparency in the planning process, better engagement with stakeholders from across the region, and a practical approach to future allocations that reflects science, local knowledge, and regional realities. Now, a guest today is Sam Work, Chairperson of the Alliance. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Morning, Mike, and morning, viewers, and thanks for the opportunity to catch up this morning and talk through a few of the issues.
Now, first of all, you are in a magnificent part of the woods, as they would say. I used to work at 5C, believe it or not, many years ago. Anyway, that was and enjoyed myself immensely, but it was very cold there, I found. I came from actually spending time in the States, in Hawaii, and I went to Mount Gambier. It's like, oh my goodness gracious, it's freezing, but a great part of the woods. Tell us about the region itself.
Yeah, so it's a region with a number of diverse characteristics. It's a food fibre production bowl. We can grow commodities reasonably straightforward here, like potatoes, prime lamb, beef. It's a dairy powerhouse for the region, and also we've got some wonderful natural characteristics. So most viewers might know of the Blue Lake, and those water-related natural features are what make our region, so special, Mike.
Yeah, I have to say and I did breakfast there for a while. I mean, so I knew how cold it was, but it's got this great beauty. I mean, from all the way around Robe down to Mount Gambier, up to Mount Gambier, you got places like Narracourt, and the entire coast is just absolutely gorgeous. But the region relies primarily on groundwater, and the Lower Limestone Coast is undergoing an extensive amendment process after 13 years. Why has it been so long between drinks?
The Landscape Board, which is a affiliate of government, tend to wait the full 10 years before they kick off review. They started their review in 2022 and completed it in 2023, and it showed that our water allocation plan needed serious amendment. And so the Landscape Board have begun over the last 2 to 3 years, a series of engagements with the public, trying to work through the issues identified within the review. And in the last short while, I've had people come to me with their concerns. The region has lost some of its advocacy within agriculture, and our alliance would like to see that we would be in a position to advocate for uh, uh, yeah, cross-sector industry, the community. We bring land managers, community representatives, First Nations voices, and then most importantly, Mike, independent subject matter experts who really know the region's systems.
Who does the tell us about the alliance itself? Tell us about the people and industry groups that are part of the alliance.
Yeah, we've got reasonable support, Mike. It is important that the commodity groups align with our group, but more importantly, the community aligns with our group. And sorry, I'm just getting a bit of feedback here. Yeah, it's more important that the community in general, because then we can be very efficient in our dealings, chatting with the community, bringing all those thoughts and concerns together, and then tabling them with landscapes. And that's our hope, that we won't be just in a room receiving a presentation from the Landscapes Board, that we will be in the room assisting them to craft this next plan, because that's a commitment that the Landscapes Board have made to the community, that they will engage with the community. And so we represent the community as an alliance. Yeah, absolutely we represent commodity industries. The South Australian Dairy Farmers Association is supportive. Limestone Coast Potato Growers Association are supportive of the alliance. And so they're really, great things to have support from.
Tell us about the possible conflict over allocations between different license holders, between various industries, and between producers and environmentalists.
Yeah, so during the review that the Landscapes conducted, they identified that there was complications with regards to people's bundled licenses, and so they are considering whether it's suitable to partially unbundle licenses under the guise of simplification. But there are some risks associated with that, because in that simplification, they propose to categorise licenses. And I've seen these sorts of processes in our Murray-Darling Basin to the north of us. We are close to the end of the Murray-Darling Basin, I guess, in our region location. And it seems to me like the Limestone Coast Landscapes Board wishes to use, water-based management decisions as if the Murray-Darling Basin is gold star in its management. And the reality is, our 2013 water allocation plan for the Limestone Coast Prescribed Wells area is a UNESCO awarded water management plan. And it was awarded because it had the ability to account for and bring forestry usage into a water management plan. And that was a really important step, and very hard fought for by the people that helped craft that 2013 plan. And in general, it's our belief that that 2013 plan has done the things that it aimed to do, and we've really had quite a quiet period of water discussions in the region up until the last couple of years. And so it just says to me that there's got to be, a concerted effort in engagement from the Limestone Coast Landscapes Board. And that's where we're going to, hopefully assist them in their process.
It's isn't it funny how, first of all, to be using the Murray-Darling water plant as as the gold standard. Obviously that they can't read, and they haven't spoken to farmers, so we have the issues there. But what do you want? What's your, if you had that wish list, and that it was just based on common sense, basically, what would that be?
So, Mike, we've reached out via letter a number of times so far now over the last few months with the Landscapes Board. We primarily have asked for a data set of the last 10 years of usage. So in our region, every water extracting activity is accounted for, and irrigators and industry must report on an annual basis their water meter readings. Forestry on an annual basis report their plantings, and from that a usage of the resource per annum is calculated. And never before has that full 10-year data set been available for our group to analyse. We propose that we will employ a hydrogeologist to do that analysis, where he will look at three things: that usage data, rainfall in the region, and then there's a observation wells network right through the area. And so you can marry those things together, I'm told, and that gives you an indication around sustainability, because the most important thing that we're interested in as an alliance is that what we're doing as a group of potential water users or actual water users is sustainable. Most farms that I work with and land managers that I work with are multi-generational still in our region. It's quite a phenomenon. Corporate agriculture is a growing landowner, but they are certainly not the dominant landowner in our area. And so people wish to hand over their farm to the next generation in as good a condition and as good a business health and physical health as they possibly can. And so it's our aim of the alliance that, both the physical resource is preserved and people's assets are preserved.
Yeah, but I often ask guests that pop on, do they think that, I think you are, but do you think that government, whether it's federal or state, is targeting the rural community unfairly?
Well, it's interesting, Mike. We have had various country cabinets from the Malinauskas government come to the southeast, and I've attended those in the past. And when they've needed to, they've been really positive about our region.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time the Malinauskas government visited the region and held their country cabinet, there seemed to be quite a step change in their attitude towards the community. We've got another divisive community decision. I mean, the fact that it's not even really been asked of the community around coal seam gas and fracking. The Water Alliance has an interest in that matter, but our main game has to be the water allocation plan, and there's some other community groups getting involved in that debate. But it does seem that the regions do get forgotten in our area. We always joke that people don't really know any way past the Adelaide Hills. But the reality is our region is 2.5 to 2.8 billion dollars of agricultural commodities, and we would like to see that the community can have their jobs preserved.
Yeah, I think I won't go into it anymore because I'll get smacked later on. But I do believe and I do know, and I think it's quite common knowledge around regional and rural Victoria that the bush is under attack, and most likely it's because of the renewable saga, which is developing, and you'll be experiencing all that, if not already. And we have some. I don't know what they've been drinking. Maybe they're putting something into the water. I wish they would share that. Sounds like a lot of fun. Tell me about your GoFundMe campaign.
Yeah, well, just to touch back on that treatment of the regions, Mike, it's like first and foremost, our alliance recognises the well-being and welfare of the community and our contributors, and so the uncertainty around the water policy affects people's livelihoods and their mental load. Part of our role is to simply be a point of contact for a chat, and our alliance may not have all of the answers, but we have a broad network of people, and through that, we would like to see that the community should not feel that they're facing this alone, because there may be an alliance member that's got the same lived experience, and that can be helpful to chat through these things with people with similar experiences, and so I think that will help people through these difficult processes, and it needs to really be acknowledged that mental anguish that decision making that government can have on people's mental health.
All for the good of the country. It sounds very much like communism, in my humble opinion. Tell me about your GoFundMe campaign.
Yeah, so one of our contributors and one of our committee members made the suggestion of a GoFundMe. We also have the traditional method of a alliance bank account. We want to use those funds for evidence-based science. We're not proposing to, use these funds that people make out of their own money unwisely. But we really believe that double checking of the science is a really important process that needs to occur. And so we have a community forum in the Coonawarra, and Mike, you may have visited the Coonawarra, one of our wonderful wine regions, fantastic Cabernet Sauvignon red wine.
Yes, thank you.
Those guys there are doing it particularly tough because of all of the issues, in the wine market. But it grows a premium quality grape. So we're having a community forum up there in Coonawarra on the 2nd of July at 10 a.m. We're going to run a very short, sharp and shiny list of speakers. I think there's about 4 speakers planned. The maximum talk time in total is going to be about an hour. And then we're going to have at least an hour where the community can network and chat and discuss. And on the back of the presentations, we're really hopeful that the contributions towards our alliance will flow. And we'll talk about, what a contribution might look like. It doesn't particularly matter. We've got some metrics for people that are license holders. We've got metrics for people that aren't license holders. The reality is water planning and water licensing affects a range of businesses, not just those directly with a license. There's a huge amount of support industries and processing industries. The timber milling industry here in Mount Gambier is a massive employer, and so all of those support industries need to consider their position in the landscapes process.
Just got a couple of messages through. Someone's asked, is the water in the aquifers, are they reducing? And if so, is this the reason why they're cutting back?
Yeah, so Mike, some of the reason we want this data is to do this evaluation of the resource. The resource is broken up into 61 management areas. Landscapes have identified, perhaps around 10 management zones that are indicating under stress positions. The Alliance would like to perhaps even confirm that those 10 are the same 10 that we would find. We're unsure until we get the data set from the Landscapes Board, which they've referenced they have during their 22-23 review of the water allocation plan. It was listed as new science and new data that needed to be considered, so it should be easily available to the public for this assessment to occur. The lived experience of the vast majority of people that talk to me is that they are not finding they have problems with a declining aquifer and declining quality. And so it's with that lens that they come to me and they say, landscapes are saying that there's either decline or potential decline into the future under their speculative modelling. And so we would like to either confirm or then deny through our own science and our own work as to whether this is the case.
Yeah. I'll be very careful here, but it's amazing what you can do with numbers and figures, and you can twist it. And I think I think there's a lot more afoot, as they would say.
Traditionally, Mike, the actual data has been what's guided the planning for the resource. So actual observation wells, actual rainfall, and there's been some modelling done in the past, but it feels to the Alliance that modelling is going to be a larger feature of the planning consideration, and we would like to understand more about what weighting modelling is going to be applied, because often in any modelling there's a level of speculation, and then there's different levers that you can apply to that modelling, regarding levels of climate adjustment or climate change, therefore then rainfall adjustment and rainfall change. And so we just as a community need to have a better understanding of how weighted a speculative modelling is going to be compared to the actual observations and readings taken by the department.
Maybe they should stop reading fairy tales, read real books. Anyway, that's just my humble opinion again. Sam, thank you so much for your time. I'd like to do more of these things. You do live in a beautiful part of the world. We do need less government interference. People in the bush, they actually know how they know how to look after their environment that surrounds them, because if they don't look after it, they ain't got any community at all. So we need to probably have a little more time to sit back, talk, converse with one another, communicate, and then make decisions instead of being those desktop warriors sitting in Parliament or in government offices in the big cities and making decisions on behalf of the farmers and for the good of the community, which it's not by any stretch. Sam Work, thank you so much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph.
Those that work the land know this. Our lives are drawn from the earth, our food from the soil that we tend. We are custodians. We protect it. We defend it. We seek to share the abundance for the common good.
Australia's prosperity was built on the wise use of its natural bounty. Fertile land, mineral resources, hard work and abundant energy. Energy powers our farms, our industries, our transport and our homes. It sustains modern life and underwrites national strength.
Energy security is economic security. Economic security is national security. A country that cannot rely on affordable, abundant and reliable energy puts its prosperity, its sovereignty and its freedom at risk.
We believe Australia should use all its resources wisely and in a national interest so that our children inherit a country that remains productive, secure and free.
Recent events have shown us how carelessly we have ruined our inheritance. We sit on vast reserves of coal, oil and gas, but we are not fuel secure. We are not fertiliser secure, so we are not food secure. This is a warning. Any future serious disruption to regional sea lanes would cripple the nation and empty our supermarket shelves.
We stand on a simple principle. Political power exists to serve the people, and the first duty of the state is the well-being of the nation and its communities.
We have not been well served. Our liquid fuel security is running dry, and our electricity system has been diverted from delivering cheap, abundant power to chasing targets and slogans. Policy unmoored from physics and economic reality has turned an energy-rich land into a decadent state.
So we reject the sacrifice of productive farmland and natural habitat to sprawling industrial wind and solar estate strung together by vast transmission networks. In a perversion of environmentalism, our landscape is being despoiled in the name of saving the planet.
We're calling for an urgent review into an energy policy that was never built for purpose. Billions of dollars have been spent on wind and solar projects that only deliver part-time power. Billions more on transmission that's required to bind it all together, and then good money after bad to back up a system where failure is a design feature. The result is a weaker, less resilient, but more costly energy system. And the proof of that is in everyone's power bill. Australians are paying more and getting less. Energy users are suffering, while developers from offshore are being subsidised.
This is not nation building, it's a misallocation of capital. The scaling of unproductive generation is delivering a less productive nation. We are willfully turning a rich nation into a poorer one.
No sector is being asked to bear more than agriculture and regional communities. Farmers are expected to yield their land, pay the price of mitigation, shoulder the cost of adaptation, and go on feeding the nation as if none of this has consequences.
Those that live off the land and sustain Australia and many beyond cannot be sacrificed to an energy and climate policy that destroys the economics of production. We say that a free and secure nation producing food and energy in abundance, responsibly and sustainably, is the best contribution Australia can make to society.
We will defend the land we know, the communities we have built, and the legacy we hold in trust for those that come after us. To keep Australia prosperous, sovereign, and free is our duty, and in an uncertain world, our best defence.
Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. It's a Monday morning. My next guest, we're going to talk some politics. Jared Reddick, talk about, I've got a clip here I want him to comment on about John Anderson from Bob Catter. There's been a lot of talk about national sovereignty lately because it's finally dawned on many of our politicians that we are very vulnerable to things like fuel and input supply shocks, not socks, pull up those socks, which wasn't the case several decades ago. So we have gone backwards as a country. How do we reverse this? Is it even possible with the current people in charge? Do our leaders and and leaders in waiting actually get it. Our guest is Robbie Barwick, National Chairman of the Australian Citizens Party. The party has been federally registered for more than 3 decades, 30 years. Doesn't look a day over whatever he's trying to tell us, and has contested 12 federal elections and numerous state elections. It has fought hard against the vested interest who control Australian politics through the 2 major political parties, which include the mainstream corporate media. Who control the mainstream narrative? Robbie Barwick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be here.
Good. I'm glad you got the camera right before I could see right up your nose. So tell me, before we get into anything, I just want to play this clip because we are talking regional, rural, and outback, plus national things of issues. Tell me about this one because John Anderson is lauded as the great one. One of the great communicators, along with Carl. These people they've woken up. They've come to light, see the light, all that sort of stuff, and which I doubt highly, I think it's highly suspect, to say the least. But I'll play this clip. What's your comment?
He didn't do anything about it.
John Howard, that is.
Yeah, but he was watching Anderson destroy rural industry after rural industry after rural
But why
industry.
was Anderson doing this?
And Alan Jones, he was really banging the drum. Like this bloke is completely destroying agriculture in this country.
So there you have Bob Katter laying it out on the line, being as honest as Bob is. He's very honest, straight up front, nothing hidden from Bob. And he said, John Anderson, he destroyed the rural industry. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, that was Bob Katter answering a question from Mark Burris. Why did you leave the National Party? And it's a very relevant question now because the 2 major parties are absolutely tanking, and the National Party is probably tanking the most. And Bob Katter saw the writing on the wall 25 years ago. And what Bob went through in that answer, he actually lists them. He spends like 8 minutes giving Mark Burris a description of the industry after industry after industry, sugar, bananas, dairy. And it was the dairy one that finally broke Bob because his electorate in far north Queensland includes the Atherton Tableland, which is a big dairy area. And John Anderson was the minister who was just targeting industry after industry after industry for ideological reasons. He was an arch neoliberal, a free marketer. And people don't appreciate today, because it's 25 years plus ago, just how much our industries were annihilated as policy. It was deliberate policy to annihilate them because we were going to become part of this brave new totally free market world. That was the idea. Do you know, Mike, in the global trade, free trade is a lovely ideal, right? But in the global trade forums that negotiate all this stuff, do you know Australia became known as the free trade Taliban? Because we were the country most fanatical about this, and we would say, look, we've done it to ourselves, you do it to yourselves as well. And the rest of the world would go, no. And it's very relevant now what Bob has, the history Bob recapped, because look, I hope to be able to come on here this morning and talk about the fact that, we've got a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel with the Iran situation, right? Negotiations are underway, etc. But if you've heard the news, Donald Trump threatened the Iranian leadership and they walked out. And so the war's not over. And that, we don't know when it will be over. And what we know is we are incredibly vulnerable as a country to the disruption of oil supplies and supply chains. But the reason I wanted to talk about this John Anderson question is so that people understood, we put ourselves into this situation. We had ideological governments years ago that said, oh, no, we don't have to have sovereign capability. We'll just be part of this perfect free trade world, right? It doesn't matter if we don't produce our own goods, grow our own food, we can import it, right? This kind of mentality is what took over Australia. And that's why we are so vulnerable to what's happening in the world right now. And we really do have to reverse it. And this is what the Citizens Party is focused on.
Now, there's major, you mentioned the Citizens Party. There's a merger with Jared Rennick's People First Party. Tell us about how that will work.
Well, so Jared Rennick is a former Liberal senator who tried to make a go of it as a non-career politician in Parliament in a major party, and he ran afoul of the groupthink of career politicians in his party, but in all parties. And he discovered, and in running afoul of it, especially during COVID, where he was trying to reflect back to his leadership, hang on, this is what people are experiencing on the ground. He also discovered they weren't very democratic at all. I had met Jared originally in 2019, and we are like-minded on the solutions for Australia, the economic development solutions for Australia, led by a national bank, so we can get our industries back. This is what Jared came to Parliament to try and achieve, and this is what the Citizens Party has always fought for 30 years. So after Jared went through that process, he tried to form his own party initially, and he did, to contest the last election. But he came to the view, as did we, that if you're going to have electoral success, you need to have a larger force of you need to have a party machine, not of machine politicians, but of volunteers, people who want to participate on the ground with the party to help get the message out. The mainstream media is not going to give you any help. They're not going to do you any favours. So we have decided to join forces on the basis of our shared commitment to the economic development of Australia and policies like bringing back a national infrastructure bank and a public bank to serve the people. Because the economy starts with finance. Credit is the lifeblood of it, right? And we believe that the government should go back to taking a role in that rather than leaving it all up to the private sector. Because what's happened since we privatised the Commonwealth Bank and the Commonwealth Development Bank, Mike, is that all of the credit in Australia is directed based on the decisions of private banks that are seeking the greatest profit. And that kind of mentality doesn't build infrastructure. That kind of mentality puts all your lending into housing, and then you end up with the most expensive housing in the world. That's what's happened in Australia, right? And so real industries, manufacturers and farmers, etc., have often been starved of credit, essentially. Whereas if they got credit for what they can do productively, we can reindustrialize Australia and bring it back. And we have to do that, but we have to look at Jared is an arch anti-neoliberal like I am. And we look at the legacy of what these politicians did, starting with Hawke and Keating, but then also Howard, Costello, and John Anderson. They are the ones that they dismantled our economy. We went from having an economy that was where the biggest sector was manufacturing, and even by 1990, we still had 13% manufacturing. The high point of manufacturing in Australia was 1966, actually, where it got to 30% of our economy was manufacturing. We were a powerhouse. And we now have 5% of our economy in manufacturing. The biggest part of our economy, Mike, is financial services. That's the biggest sector in Australia. In other words, we turned ourselves into a casino. And in terms of industry, all we're interested in, we prioritise mining over all else because we just reduced ourselves to a quarry, right? Not even properly a mine, a quarry. And we dig out the raw materials and we send it overseas when we should be processing a lot more of that here. And that's what you can do with development policies and credit policies like we propose.
So what are then the main elements to rebuild Australian sovereign capability?
Well, you got to look at the big ticket items, right? And clearly this one, right now above all else, there's a fuel question here, right? How do we make ourselves self-sufficient in fuel? And there's a lot of good ideas floating around, and even Matt Canavan, the leader of the National Party, right now he's banging on about big time how you can turn coal, you can gasify coal and turn it into diesel, right? Now, but you need the plant and equipment to do that. You need to invest in it to do that. The Katters, because they've got their own party, Katters Australian Party, they're big champions of ethanol. right? In Australia, you've got all these sugar mills right up from northern New South Wales right up the coast there, and every single one of those sugar mills could be turned into essentially a distillery to produce ethanol. Most countries in the world mandate ethanol. We don't mandate ethanol. But that's a way you can make sure you've got a capability there as well, that you can be able to produce your own stuff. We need to encourage a lot more drilling for oil in Australia. But the big one is we actually need a reserve. We need a proper reserve. So when we joined the International Energy Agency, we committed to having a 90-day reserve. As you would remember, when the war broke out, we discovered we had like a 30-day reserve. Yet, Mike, we are the country with the highest per capita consumption of diesel in the world, but the lowest reserves in the world. How insane is that? And when this was debated back in 2014, because Air Force Marshal John Blackburn raised this, hang on, we're really vulnerable here. The oil company said, no, we're not, everything's fine because it'll all get here just in time. But then they also said, if you want to have a proper reserve, who's going to pay for it? Because they weren't going to pay for it. And this is what a national bank can do. If you had a national bank, the government's own bank, don't take the money out of the budget, because a reserve will cost like $20 billion, a proper reserve. Don't take the money out of the budget, borrow the money from your own bank, buy the reserve, and you're going to make money out of the reserve. You have a stockpile of oil there, and you just keep letting into the market, keep replenishing it, and as you do, you are getting paid for that. And you will make money that can pay the bank back. And this can be done completely separately from the budget, as we used to do a lot of things back in the day when we had the Commonwealth Bank and the Commonwealth Development Bank, etc. You can have a whole investment part of the government that doesn't require balancing the budget to be able to afford it, right? Do it through credit, but make sure you own your own bank, because in the relationship in the lending relationship, the lender has the power, not the borrower. Right, and this is why private banks don't like governments being in banking, because they want to have power over government. No, we had a public bank for 84 years with the Commonwealth Bank, and it was the best part of the Australian economy. We need to bring it back, and then we can invest in these sorts of things, and then just go back to proper lending for farmers, proper lending for industries, etc. That can make the things that we need here in Australia a lot more. We can still trade with the rest of the world, and we should, but we shouldn't make ourselves so vulnerable. In COVID, the first 6 months of COVID, everyone said, oh, what have we done? Look how vulnerable we are because of the collapse of supply chains. As soon as we sort of nudged a bit past COVID, those same politicians said, oh, don't worry about it anymore. Now this Iran situation is a reminder, hang on, no, we are really vulnerable here. We have to change our thinking and do the things we need to become self-sufficient in many ways, but you got to pay for it. How you pay for it? A national bank is the solution.
Interesting. The ceasefire, the peace treaty. How many ceasefires or peace treaties do you think we'll have before we get to one?
Look, it's such a circus. For the sake of our security and our sanity, you almost don't want to think about it. We have to concentrate on what we can do to protect ourselves, get off that roller coaster, protect ourselves, and make us functional going forward.
This is not going to finish for quite a while.
No.
And anyone who thinks it will just needs to look at the players on both sides.
Yeah.
There you are. Having said my part, tell me about the. We're running out of time, but tell me about quickly the upcoming state election in Victoria. You have Jacinta Allen. Is she a clone in a dress of Dan Andrews? I'm not too sure about that one.
Well, look, I do. If there's one party where you do wonder if the members are clones, it is the Labor Party. Now, I'm genuinely anti-major party, pox on all their houses. I don't think Labor's better or worse than the others, but they just have they've got they do have a bit of a more tribal approach. But that was okay when the actual people in the Labor Party came from the workforce, right? They were blue-collar people, and they came up and they actually did things in the workforce and then got themselves into Parliament. Now they're all just career politicians. Even if they come from a union background, they didn't work in the workforce. They came out of uni and got jobs working for the union, right? Then they get a job as an advisor, right? And then they get pre-selected to be a member of Parliament. By the time they get to near the top, they all sound the same. I think they go to the same allocation courses and get all the same training for media, etc. And this is why Pauline Hanson cuts through, because whether you agree with her or not, she believes what she's saying, right? And her authenticity, even though I disagree with, there's plenty I disagree with, but her authenticity is a massive contrast to the messaging of the major parties, especially the Labor Party. I think Jacinta Allen's in big trouble.
Well, I think so too, and I look at the LNP led by Jess Wilson, and she does not instill confidence either, because sure, with the renewables we'll put a pause, but what that means is we'll put the pause and then restart it again, and again they're all based on lies anyway. The entire renewable scam, and it is based on lies, and many questions that are not answered. In regarding for example, the wind turbines, what happens to them when they need to be changed? Who pays for it? I wonder. And why are the companies that are putting up these wind turbines, why are they designed to stop operating as a company at about the time the wind turbine stops?
Yeah, no, there's a bit of a gold rush in capitalising on these renewable energy targets, and of course the farmers are the ones that are losing out in Victoria. But our proposal to deal with that, well, the Citizens Party's proposal, this hasn't been adopted as for our merge party going forward, but we would just end the national electricity market. We don't have to re-national. We think the biggest disaster was privatisation in Victoria and Australia. What we would do though is, instead of buying back all the assets, just end the national electricity market and say to all these installations that produce power, you're now selling it to us. There's one buyer, the government, and the government will sell to the people at an affordable price, and to industry at an affordable price. And if you were hoping, see, under our system, electricity can spike up to $16,500 a megawatt hour on hot days, etc. And they're trying to speculate on all those fluctuations. Get it all out of the market. It's crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy, because people end up having to pay for that. And if that disincentivizes all these people to invest in windmills, good.
Can't stand them. I mean, the birds don't like many of those windmills either. It's like having a lovely fly along one day, next minute, kabang!
But the solution is making them higher, apparently.
What about the birds that fly higher? And by the way, that costs $45 million. That solution. We'll build them taller. Anyway, it's completely nuts and not necessary in this day and age. We do not need. Anyway, can you call Chris Bowen for me? Give him a ticket and say, Chris, you're an idiot. If somebody wants to find out more about you, Robbie, and the party, how do they do that?
Well, for now, it's still citizensparty.org.au, our website. You can follow me on social media in various variations of @Robbie Barwick. But also look at the People's First Party website, pfp.org.au, and we will make a proper formal announcement when we've confirmed the name. You've got to get permission from the Electoral Commission to use the name. When we've confirmed the name, we'll do a proper announcement. So for now, just keep looking at Citizens Party.
What about just telling me? It's only you and I chatting. What's the name? Tell me.
No, the name will be the Australian People's Party.
Oh, good.
But you've got to make sure there's no objections to that. It's a whole bureaucratic thing. It takes about 9 weeks apparently. So when we've done that, then there'll be a proper formal announcement.
Good on you. I can't wait. And you have my vote too. Robbie Barwick, providing you're in Queensland on the Goldie. If you're not here, I can't give you my vote.
The biggest branch of the party will be in Queensland.
I wonder why that is. Anyway. All right, Robbie Barwick, thank you so much. This is the Country Telegraph.
This is a 6-week tour. We are to collect and wipe any antiquated equipment, reconfigure servers, and bring this complex up to date. Any details, any specifics on this contract are on a need-to-know basis.
And we don't need to know?
Who decides who needs to know and who doesn't?
God. Okay.
This is just a layover, right? We're just refueling and then we're gonna move on to the multi-million-dollar research facility, right?
Let the dumpster fire begin.
You're not even gonna answer my question? He's not even gonna answer my question, he just walks away.
You okay, Sam?
A weird noise in there.
Yeah, I think there's an air leak in the chemical tank.
This is Dr. Laura Caldwell. It is August 25th, the 10th day of our expedition. Our logistical samples have come back with some unusual results.
What the hell is that?
I don't know. That's number 71 on the what the frick's about this place.
Who could do this? A bear?
He crossed over.
No, that's not what this is.
The heck, man? You see another bug? What's up?
This is a prank.
They're trying to get into our heads.
If any of you is pulling anything, I was knocking on Carol's door.
You know what I did?
Why are we here?
It makes a lot of sense that the driest continent on Earth should be making a priority to rehydrate itself. You know, I can't imagine any land manager in Australia wouldn't want to be more attuned to the landscape and knowing how to rehydrate it. We're the ones that should be leading the way in understanding and sharing that. So having this knowledge and being able to apply it, I think is significant. And it's a practice and a method and principles that apply to every square inch of Australia. G'day, Charlie Arnott, 8th generational regenerative farmer here at Hanamino, Burrawa. I grew up here on our very conventional farm, and in the early 2000s when we had an extended dry period, we like to call them, when I was watching paddocks blow away in the wind and started to question, you know, was that a natural event? Was that of my doing? What could I do about it? And I decided at one point that no, it wasn't something I had to accept. What I really had to do, I felt very passionate about, is finding out how I could do a better job of managing the landscape. One of the wonderful things about natural sequence farming is that whilst we can graze our landscape as best we can, and we sort of time control graze or holistically manage our pasture, you're always going to be limited by how you use the rainfall. We can't influence a lot of the things. We can't influence markets, we can't influence the weather. But what we can change is how we have prepared the landscape for weather events. What we've done is a lot of work around our homestead, in the kilometres around where we are. You drive past every day, you can observe and see these changes in the landscape. You can see how water's flowing. You can see how this contouring technique is retaining moisture in the landscape and rehydrating the landscape. The paradigms we're talking about changing are large ones, and I always say that the first paddock you should change is the one between your ears. You know, that's where you hold your paradigms, and so it may take a number of steps, it may take some questions, and I think that's a really critical thing. You've got to go at your own speed, your own comfort, and that's again going to come back down to your budget, time frames, who's on board, and being really clear of your vision and what you actually want to get out of it. Australia is a vast continent, and again, nothing works without water. So it seems pretty clear to me that the farmers who are interested enough to look at these sort of methods, care enough about nature and the environment, they're generally the ones producing the better food, the more nutrient-dense food, because they're in cleaner environments, they're more robust, they're more resilient, the animals are happier, and generally the people are happier too. So anyone who eats food, essentially, I think, needs to support this sort of methodology, and let's rehydrate Australia.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph for hour 2, almost 3 after 8 in Victoria, New South Wales, Tasmania and Queensland. Some of the news, first of all, before we get into our next hour. Peace talks between the US and Iran in Switzerland reportedly broke up on Sunday, local time, after 80 minutes, following an insulting message by the US president, said officials from Tehran. A new UK PM is looking increasingly likely after Andy Burnham won a Manchester by-election last week, walloping the Nationalist and also Reform UK in the process, setting up a likely challenge to Mr Starmer as Labor leader. Australia has filled its China beef quota, triggering a 55% tariff for the rest of 2026. Meat industry leaders warn it means significant deterioration of trading conditions. Goulburn Valley communities are banding together to protect high-performing agricultural land and wildlife corridors from being impacted by renewable energy projects. So they're just some of the news that's making news around the world and also around Australia. What is very important to Australia is what's the weather going to be like today?
G'day everyone, I'm out on Blue Springs Road between Gulgong and Yulin, which is basically north of Mudgee. We are following the trail of these power lines which they're banging in from the west all the way to the east. And the scale of these developments, you can see the Stubbo solar farm out west, and it is just massive. To people in the city, this is out of sight, out of mind, but to the people that live here, the impacts are absolutely huge. The impacts on agricultural land, the impacts on water, the impacts on visual amenity and land values. There are a whole lot of issues that country people have to deal with, which city people have no idea about.
And a very good morning on this Monday morning. This is the Country Telegraph. I'm Mike Ryan. Nice to have your company. Before we get into our next guest, which we're hoping will connect very shortly, we all know about actually not that many maybe don't know about the cruel aerial cull in the Kosciuszko National Park to get rid of those terrible, terrible brumbies. They're just terrible, but it's an absolute disaster. It's cruel to say the least, and in my opinion, it's based on false information, misleading information. So, but we'll talk about that very shortly with our guest. I was at work yesterday going through some of the news feeds, came across this song. Somebody has penned this song in relation to this cruel cull of these magnificent creatures. Let me play this for you. It's a very beautiful song, and I love the lyrics.
Tell my fool I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Brumby hoofprints etched for generations in the snow. I've watched the foals become the mares, the stallions old and slow. Here in the snowy mountains where my life began, across hills, ridges and open plains my fellow brumbies ran. I've led them through winter storms, drought and summer rain, but I can't outrun what follows now. Shield my family from this pain. My ancestors crossed the oceans, but I was born upon this land. These mountains are my birthplace, the Snowies are my clan. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. Tell my foe I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Stay close beside me, little one. The thunder isn't rain. The sky itself is hunting us, and I cannot stop the pain. I gather those I love and turn to face the sound. Though every instinct tells me run, there's nowhere left for us now. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. I fall upon the ground, thunder. Again and again, my heart grows quiet as bullets rain. I thought I had more seasons, more rivers left to roam, more sunrises with my Kosciuszko clan before the mountains called me home. Tell them I was born here, my grandfathers fought their wars. Remind them that this was our home, the snowy mountains were ours. Tell my foe I knew her fear. Tell my mare I heard her call. Tell my fool I tried to save them. Tell the wind how brumbies fall. Tell my fool I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye.
And back again. Now there's a cruel aerial cull occurring in the Kosciuszko National Park. As, you know, I said I would not listen to the lyrics, and I did. Let's just get into it. Our guest today is going to talk about this cruel aerial cull as part of a plan to drastically reduce the park's brumby population. Now, it's a terrible look for the Australian national character, and shall I say, the politicians and the so-called environmental and animal welfare groups that support it. The Brumby Action Group is a not-for-profit association for some 25,000 members, and one, because I'm going to join, whose purpose is the preservation and conservation of wild living brumbies. their habitat and ecosystems, acknowledging the heritage value of these magnificent animals. Thanks for joining us. And we're just going to go to this one here. That's even better. Sarah Michaels, those lyrics, when I downloaded it yesterday to play today, I said, I'm not going to listen to the lyrics. It's a disgrace, isn't it?
It absolutely is, Mike. You're right. And I would have prepared myself with some tissues had I have known that you were going to play that song. But unfortunately, it certainly is the reality of what we're facing in the mountains at the moment.
I mean, okay, let's cut to the chase. They say they're doing it for environmental reasons. You know, and I know that's just absolute crap. So what is, in your humble opinion, what is the real reason for the senseless murder and torture of these magnificent animals that are much a part of Australia as any of us are?
Yeah, you're right, Mike. They absolutely are. And this debate about the snowy brumbies has become incredibly polarised over recent years. But at the heart of it, it's about transparency, accountability, and evidence. Australians are repeatedly told that aerial shooting and large-scale removals of our brumbies are justified by science, yet many of the figures and decisions being relied upon by government and their supporters, they raise serious questions and concerns. Many of us feel that there's been very little appetite from the New South Wales government, in particular Minister Penny Sharp, to genuinely engage with those seeking a balanced solution. There's growing concern within the local community and within Australia and abroad about the influence advocacy organisations may actually have over government policy, including questions about the role of the Invasive Species Council in shaping these decisions. Australians deserve confidence that public policy is being driven by transparent evidence and independent decision-making and not ideology.
Tell us about the heritage of the brumbies in this location.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it goes without saying that they're iconic in Australia. They're part of our national heritage. They deserve humane, evidence-based management. They've lived in the Australian Alps for more than 150 years. They've become part of the cultural identity of the high country and part of the Australian fabric. They feature in Australian folklore, literature, local history, and many people see them as enduring symbol of resilience and freedom.
I saw a clip the other day and someone was walking through the Kosciuszko National Park and it showed you some of the grass that would have been pulled out. It was attributed to, I think, pigs.
Yeah.
Can you just tell me, can the bureaucrats who are pushing this with Chris Minns waving the flag to save the planet, can you tell me if they could tell the difference between a pig and a horse? And if not, should they ever go to the Melbourne Cup again?
Well, it's a fair question, Mike. Yeah, you absolutely can. I mean, I'm a landholder and I have horses. We also have a lot of wild pigs around my property. Morning, and I see horse dog. That's certainly not attributed to horses. You can unequivocally say that wild pigs have been in and they've done that damage. For many people who frequent the parks, a lot of the damage that we see is from feral pigs. Deer are prolific around the area at the moment, and I don't even need to mention the explosion in kangaroo numbers. It's out of control. Yet they seem not wanting to turn their mind to the damage that other species are doing. Unfortunately, our brumbies have become the scapegoat.
What needs to be done? Okay, they're saying, and the figures are wrong, so but they keep quoting these horrendous figures. Yeah. What needs to be done to control? We'll pick on the brumbies if they need controlling at all, but you don't need to shoot them and let them die in a slow, torturous death. What
Absolutely.
should we be doing?
Absolutely. I think anybody with half a conscience will agree that the aerial culling is barbaric. As we've stated, there are many issues where there's been lack of transparency. Many advocates believe that the cull needs to stop forthwith while some of these issues are properly examined. There's a strong argument that the future management of snowy brumbies should receive greater Commonwealth oversight, recognising both their national heritage value and the need for transparent, accountable governance. First and foremost, there needs to be an accurate count of just how many brumbies are in the park. It's impossible for the recent numbers of over 20,000 that's being stated by the Minister's office. It's biologically impossible, and quite frankly, it makes them look ridiculous. And if people aren't questioning that, they need to be questioning that more.
There's a group called the RSPCA who I do know things about the RSPCA that I'm not going to tell, but it's amazing what good propaganda does for you. The RSPCA supports professionally managed aerial culling in the park. What do you say to that?
I say it's outrageous. I say that people should look into the enormous donation that New South Wales RSPCA received leading into one of the earlier culls. I think it was the November 2023, thereabouts. This is where we're very concerned about the issue of transparency. Reports, primary aerial survey recordings were not retained, changes to the operational procedures, the standard operational procedures are not being followed, Mike. That's a concern, and there's been difficulties obtaining records through information requests. All of this has contributed to declining public confidence. Governments supported by the likes of RSPCA, Invasive Species Council, if governments say that they're following the science, then the underlying evidence and decision-making processes should be capable of independent scrutiny, including, the likes of the RSPCA and ISC. Transparency builds trust where secrecy undermines it, and that's the climate that we're finding ourselves in at the moment.
And if you go back a few years, regardless of what people think, the transparency and the trust was highly eroded during COVID, and then the transparency about the same time. So when government says we're going to do something, no matter what you present or say, let's have a conversation about this and come to a better determination, they are not interested at all. And I'm sounding quite very much like an activist. I'm not. It's just a fact. What about let's talk about the Greens now. I think the Greens should rename themselves as the hypocritical party, because they are liars and they are hypocrites. And you look at the National Environment Protection Authority, which was set up with the government along with the Greens. And if you look at what's happening at the Great Dividing Range, at the erasing of the top of the range to put in windmills, and then either side, by the way, of those 400 metres either side, there is nothing can live there because of the high frequency noise and stuff like that. We've just lost Sarah, but we'll get Sarah back in a second, because it happens sometimes. We just connect. So I'll keep talking about that until Sarah comes back. But we do have an issue on the Great Dividing Range, because either side of the Great Dividing Range is 400 metres, and 400 metres is a real problem. Sarah is now back, because what happens is that the animals, including the koalas and stuff, can't live there. Birds can't fly there because they fly into them. And it was told that under the National Environment Protection Authority that there were also reports of koalas, and I believe they are true, being whacked on the back of the head, suggested by some of the developers. So the Greens are, Sarah, are very hypocritical. They want up to a 90% reduction of the brumbies. Now, this would seem odd for a party, one of the party leaders, Bob Brown or Christine Milne, would have to be absolutely distraught and full of despair to see what's happened to their party.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. They've certainly changed over the years from when they were, from their inception and what they once stood for. I think the term that you used, hypocrisy with the Greens, it's absolutely accurate. And one of the things that we find in this space when advocating for our Brumbies is the sheer hypocrisy around Melbourne Cup. You see all the greenies out there with their, knock to the cup slogans getting around. And when you question them, how does this differ from what they're doing to the Brumbies? Instead of engaging in a realistic, fact-driven conversation, we're often met with, abuse, with slander, with criticism, and we're generally finding that that's the rhetoric from the Greens is if they can't get you to accept their way of thinking and they can't push it down your throats, then they just become abusive. And we see a lot of division in this space, and it's really sad. Our Brumbies deserve so much better.
We have to look after animals. As simple as that. Animals rely on us to look after them. Even though the Brumbies are wild, we need to look after them to make sure that this senseless culling does not happen. It is cruel. It is not how Australians should act or how any humans should act. And I think it's gaining attention around the world, and it's showing our governments for what they are. They are cruel, senseless bastards. And I think they are it's abhorrent to say the least. What about the animal welfare groups and wildlife advocates? I've seen a couple pop up, but I haven't seen a whole lot. Where are they?
Crickets, Mike, really? Yeah.
In name only.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
It is.
Can you tell me, because we have a great political divide, which politicians have condemned this, or are they doing the ostrich dance and putting their head in the sand?
Yeah, we were actually quite pleased to see Angus Taylor attend the gathering on Saturday at Kyandra. So I do want to acknowledge Mr. Taylor. Thank you for taking the time. Your willingness to listen is appreciated, and I do sincerely hope that his recent involvement translates into meaningful action and tangible improvements. I really, really have to thank Wes Fang and Emma Hurst, who have been enormous drivers of the Brumby plight over the years. I've watched some of the videos from when Wes has challenged Minister Sharp, during questioning time, and they just refuse to resile from their position, notwithstanding that the evidence is quite clear that what they are doing is simply inhumane. Rachel Merton and Nicole Overall have also, shown their support to the cause, but in the greater picture of things, there are only a small few names in an enormous parliament, so it is quite disappointing. Particularly when members of parliament are out there, like I said before, saying knock to the cup, but they'll gladly watch these beautiful animals down, one of them 15 minutes in the name of ideology. It's outrageous.
What about other parts of Australia? Are the Brumbies under attack there, or will they be under attack shortly?
So this goes to all parts of Australia. I can't really speak to other states, given that I'm a New South Wales resident. I know Victoria, they had an enormous cull. If you go back to the high country in Victoria, you'd be lucky to see a Brumby now. It's really quite sad.
It's extremely un-Australian. And
Absolutely.
And we'll get hate mail, of course. We brought up the fire ant issue a while back, and someone sitting in one of the offices in Brisbane would write to us and say that we're a bunch of cookers. And I'm wondering which part of that applies to the removal of human rights, in particular with farming. Do you think rural, maybe regional, but rural and outback Australia is under attack by government?
Yeah, there's no doubt, Mike. And, I Many of us believe that the eradication of our brumbies is about a much bigger picture, and it goes to eradicating our history and our culture.
How can we help?
Yep, so jump on board, come over to our page, link in with other advocates, and certainly, contact your local members of parliament, let them know that this is abhorrent. Also advocate for transparency. We're not seeing transparency from Minister Sharp's office. That's vital. Most importantly, encourage constructive dialogue rather than division, and just jump on board, share our plight. We're seeing an enormous difference this time around in comparison to 2023 campaign. It's a slow wheel, Mike, but it does turn.
Yep, it's very sad, isn't it? Very hard not to become emotional. And they say, "Oh, well, you're all too emotional." How can you not be emotional?
Well, that's exactly right. And if people want to call us emotional because our hearts are breaking at watching these magnificent creatures, that are woven into our fabric fall down and hit the ground, and knowing that they're full, is there wondering when its mother's going to stand up. If that doesn't move you, I don't know what then.
It's absolutely terrible. Sarah Michaels from the Brumby Action Group, and just lover of Australian and lover of all things good. Thank you so much for your time. We do need to take stock, and we need to get back our humanness, don't we? We need to become. What's happened to us? I'm going on a bit here, but it's very emotional. I'll probably get told off again. But what's happened? What's happened to us?
Yeah, what has? That's the question, isn't it? Because I think that question applies to so many things that we're seeing affected to our Australian culture, and it's just terrible, Mike. It really is.
It's terrible. Sarah, thank you so much for your time. We will do this more. I think we do need to get back our being Australian again,
Yes,
having each other's back, because we do not have anybody's back at the moment. And we have to look after what is quintessential Australiana, and that's the Brumbies. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for your time.
The Country Telegraph.
I make the CBD scenic, so you can stroll and shop.
I collect the recycling bins, so we can enjoy our parks for years to come.
I test the water quality, so we all have access to clean and safe water.
I repair the roads that make reunions possible.
It's locals like you who make your council and community yours.
The banks in our regional communities do all the heavy lifting, while the city-based or digital banks reap big profits. There's something really wrong with this picture. Across regional Australia, local bank branches are disappearing. This puts our communities at a big disadvantage. Regional Australians, young, old, those with a disability, First Nations, and small business owners are being left behind. Meanwhile, big city-based and digital banks earn billions, much of it from you. 10 million regional Australians help fund the banking system. But regional banks are left carrying the cost of keeping branches open, providing essential advice on scams and fraud, identifying customers, helping with loan and business advice, and providing secure cash services. In a digital world, branches are an insurance for communities when systems break down. Essential banking services should be delivered by trained staff with local knowledge, not call centres, apps, or city-based and foreign-owned banks. A community service obligation on banks would allow our regional communities to access the essential banking services they deserve.
There's no doubt about it. The bush is under attack, and I don't know why. I mean, it's how Australia was built, on the back of those on the land. And at the moment, we're, as we would say, probably, I won't say that word, but we're weeing from great heights on those on the land. Regional, rural, and outback Australia, and Australia is under attack, and that's got to stop. It's just not Australian. It's the easiest way to have a country fall apart. And at the moment, we are. Whether it's because of the ineptitude of the federal government, state governments, they all wear, they're different hats, but same policies. Maybe we should look at the bureaucrats first of all. They're the ones who are advising these limited intelligence species called politicians. Now, onto something a little more positive. Cancer Council Australia do many great things. One of them is raising money. And people put in to help raise money for the awareness of cancer. I'm not making this up, I'll play this to you. There's a rally from Mildura to Townsville. Okay, Mildura to Townsville. Now, I'm not making this up, all right? It's called the truly Shitbox Rally. That's right, the Shitbox Rally. And they're raising money for the Cancer Council. I looked on the website. This has been going for quite some time. $66 million plus they've raised. So I'm going to play you the one of the vehicles heading off for this one. Then I'll play you one of the rallies from last year because it hasn't finished yet. Have a look at this and get involved because it is for a magnificent cause. This is, Mad Max, eat your heart out.
Try and describe the people of Shitbox.
We are back in the Red Centre at Uluru and Katajuka. We have 500 amazing people here for day one of our last rally for 2025.
It's Outback Outlaws 1 on my right, Outback Outlaws 2 on my left, and we're local here from Alice Springs.
We're the Red Centre Legends.
I'm Kate. I'm Jess. We are the Road Cowgirls. This is our first rally. We had a girlfriend do her first rally last year and she did her second one in the winter rally this year.
And it was just, we heard her talking about it. We just went, we got to do this.
If you can raise money for something to change somebody's life and have an amazing experience at the same time, why not?
How does it feel to be out here at Uluru on day one of a rally?
It's the best. This is bucket list, so when this came up, we're like, we're going. Yeah, not missing out on this. It's sensational.
How's your day been today?
We've had a marvellous day today there, Richie. I'm pretty sure if we keep going, we're going to have more marvellous days.
Baby's sad. Baby's tent flew away last night.
I wanted to come here as Governor General and patron of many cancer research organisations, and the money that you raise, I get to see it pass through and affect people. I see it on the benches of the scientists who wouldn't otherwise get funding, and it helps so many Australians who are, have cancer or preventing cancer. So I want to say thank you to you and this extraordinary group of Australians who keep showing up. $60 million is a lot of money to be raising. We're doing it in a classically Australian way with the shitbox card. I think I've met a few of the rallies themselves, and these are people who are having a lot of fun, but they're raising a lot of money. And I'm loving this morning with the fairy tale theme. It's got the best of everyone. And to think that last night was a complete washout, that this would have been a mud bath here last night. Everyone's backed up for this beautiful morning as you head off on day two. Thank you for letting me come along and you see it. And I will wear the Shitbox Rally t-shirt with pride.
Welcome to Shitbox Rally.
Hi everybody, I'm Bogalife, Jamie, and we're now going from Udinadatta down to Maree, and then we're staying at Topany tonight.
Is this the first smart car ever to get to William Creek?
Well, look,
I don't want to say the first without, checking the record books, but if someone did beat me here with one, they deserve a prize. It's hard to get out here with one of these things. We're 2 spares down. We've had one fixed. We're hoping we get another one fixed. And we've got another 200 k's of dirt. We'll just see how we go.
Heard you guys needed a tyre.
Outside William Creek Hotel, top 3 favourite outback pubs. Track's open and we're heading down to Murray and then on to Copley. And I'm driving a Ford Capri with top down, as usual.
Hey guys, my name's Emma.
I'm Kieran.
This is Barry the Brave, all the way from Tasmania. We're sitting somewhere around 62,000 at the moment and hoping to push up to 66,000. Luckily from where we are down in Tassie, we've been able to come together as a little island and really make a difference.
First day, the suspension. Yesterday, coil. This morning, coil. So 3 days in a row on a trailer. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm rallying for everyone affected by cancer that we know and love.
I'm rallying for Popple George.
It is Morton who we rally for because he can no longer rally.
We're rallying for the greater community.
And I'm rallying for all the family members I've lost and all the people that I know that have battled cancer.
We lost all our brakes. That's our windscreen wiper. That's all we've got.
G'day, we're the Bogans. We've just completed another rally from Alice Springs to the Gold Coast. I had another fantastic time, fantastic group of people. It's hard to explain how good it is to meet amazing people and travel in a car that shouldn't go where it's going and see amazing parts of the country that you wouldn't otherwise get to see. That's why we keep coming back. That's simple. And for the good cause. Just do it. Yeah. Don't think about it, do it. There's so many new ralliers on this rally and we're talking to them. The beginning of the rally, what do you expect? And they didn't know. You don't know until you do it. And you just got to come and do it. Experience it. There's not many people that only do one rally. I'll be back for a second one. I've spoken to a lot of new guys here and they've just had the best time and they're going to come back time and time again.
Just go for it. You will never regret it. And you'll
It is a lot of fun.
make money for a great cause.
Incredible, isn't it? See, I wasn't being rude. It's actually called Shitbox Rally. But what a great cause. A lot of fun too. I wonder if my mini moke, actually I haven't got a mini moke, used to have 2. I wonder how that would go. Not very well, I would think. No airbags, no roof, no nothing, except the thing that flops around, they call a tent. But Australia is a great country, isn't it? I mean, whether it's regional, whether it's Cap City, regional, rural, outback, and each part of Australia is diverse and we need to appreciate it. And that's why before I got a bit emotional over the Brumbies, because it's not Australian. This is just, this is very sad. But we are a great country, and that's why those fundraisers, for example, Cancer Council of Australia, why they're so important, not only for raising money, but it says who we are. We should be a great country. We should have everybody's back. And we have this unique history that is absolutely unique to Australia because no one else can copy it. No one can be an Australian except an Aussie. And so we need to be proud of it. Another industry that's under attack, and I saw a thing with a current affair, talking to De Bortoli Wines and the guy that runs it, and how it is in deep doo-doos, too many grapes, not enough help. Chinese market has gone belly up, basically. The wine industry in Australia is under attack. It is in a perilous position. I'll play you this, and this will show you while we're waiting for our next guest. This will show you how tough things are, not just for those who are, have cattle, sheep, wheat, barley, sugarcane, but also for the wine grape industry.
Jason Perrin is among a shrinking pool of grape growers hanging on despite another tough vintage.
Growers are on their knees. This is not whinging farmers.
He's welcoming the shift from a voluntary code of conduct for wine grape purchases to a mandatory one, but believes more needs to be done to save family businesses.
We're going into 6 years of low prices. This year was absolutely horrendous.
Industry representatives say the mandatory code can stabilise commercial relationships, but it's not a panacea.
You could have the most robust bulletproof code in the world at the moment, and that will not override or remove the market conditions that are making wine growing and wine making unprofitable.
The federal government says the code will force winemakers to make early binding public declarations of price offers for each grape variety. But with more than half of inland growers uncontracted, industry representatives say the benefits will be limited. These growers are among hundreds looking to move away from wine grapes.
There's like a bunch of growers amidst of all these things who are hardworking and looking for that change, who are looking for that future hope.
Australians are paying more and getting less.
Energy security is economic security. Economic security is national security.
We sit on vast reserves of coal, oil and gas, but we are not fuel secure.
Policy unmoored from physics and economic reality has turned an energy-rich land into a decadent state.
No sector is being asked to bear more than agriculture and regional communities.
We are willfully turning a rich nation into a poorer one.
To keep Australia prosperous, sovereign and free is our duty, and in an uncertain world, our best defence.
I didn't choose this life. I was born to live it. So was Dad, Pa, his dad, and his dad before that.
Come on, ladies.
You're supposed to be slowing down, you know. It's payback for the free labour you got out of me as a kid.
I learned from watching my mum and dad and how they work together. So does my sister Sally.
Any trains? I don't. Feet up.
I'll always remember these days. It's the happiest days of my life. Together as a family.
Oh, you're so lucky I love you.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that about right, isn't it?
I don't know how you're going to deal with all this.
Deal with what?
$6 million debt?
Most farmers are in this amount of debt. As farmers, we gamble with the weather every day, and it's a risk we take.
You have no idea what I'm going through. Maybe you should talk to someone professional. Oh my God, no, I'm fine. No, you're not, Alison.
You and your dad's coward.
Play a game of footy, all right?
Where's heaven?
What?
Where's heaven?
The sky, I think.
Can we go there?
It's incredible, isn't it, on the land? I mean, very, very tough life, but it's one that we, those that are on the land, choose to do. It's not their choice, though, to be attacked by, by the woke brigade or those suffering delusions of grandeur. But it's a tough life, and they do a great job, and they are looking after Australia. Whether you're growing grapes, chickens, sugarcane, whatever. And we do need to probably hug a farmer, as some would say. One of the other issues in the bush are the rail crossings, because many of those haven't got any, the signals flashing red, stop, none of those. And many accidents. I want to play you this just to show you some of the concerns those in the bush have for this lack of a thought from the government. Shock horror. Government, no thought? Who would have thought? But I'll play you this and it'll just show you how dangerous it is, even just to cross a rail line.
There's around 17,000 level crossings around Australia, many of these on country roads like the one behind me here. They have no lights or boom gates.
We are saying this needs to change, and we want mandatory legislation introduced to ensure that all trains have safety lighting. This issue affects all Australians, and we know that people that are from metropolitan areas are at greater risk of a crash with a train because they're expecting full controls in place that they're just not going to get in regional areas where these level crossings are protected only by signage.
In Australia, there's strict lighting requirements for trucks, buses, cars, even bicycles. But when it comes to Australia's biggest land vehicle, trains, there are no mandatory standards in place, and this anomaly really needs to be corrected.
When approaching a railway level crossing, especially those without lights or boom gates, drivers must exercise caution and must always check that it is safe to cross. But a driver can't give way to a train they can't see.
The rail industry is very profitable, powerful and protected. We have a unique situation where the Rail Industry Safety and Standards Board is owned and controlled by rail operators. So they have the power to put commercial interests before public safety.
By law, trucks must have marker lights that clearly show their full length, width and height from every angle, day or night. If a truck doesn't meet these lighting rules, it can't legally be on the road. If it's good enough for trucks, it's good enough for trains.
If those changes had been made back then, we would still have our family members today. Instead, we have to watch on while other families go through these completely preventable tragedies. Something as simple, as cheap and affordable as a beacon light could have saved 3 precious, beautiful lives in our particular crash.
Over the years, there's been far too many tragedies at level crossings around Australia. And on behalf of the many families and communities affected, I really do appeal to our government and to industry to support mandatory safety lighting on all trains.
My name's Dougie. I have stage 3 bowel cancer that has now spread to my lungs, and I believe that it was caused by glyphosate. ABC's Four Corners the other night in a documentary called Us Generation Cancer, but I'm more concerned for the generations to follow. Talking about glyphosate is a really delicate topic, and I'm putting my reputation on the line, but I really feel like I have an obligation to spread the word and educate people. There's a massive amount of research out there that is pretty scary. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup, and it is the next asbestos. The biggest difference is, though, that we are involuntarily exposed to it. So we have 21 amino acids within our body, which are the building blocks of a protein. 9 of them are essential, and then the rest of them our body can produce. One of those is glycine, and glyphosate will take the place of glycine. The first thing it does is create a breakdown in the protein structure of the stomach lining. From there, glyphosate will infiltrate the body. It will expose the body to other toxins as well, creating leaky gut, chronic inflammation, and ultimately cancer. They've found glyphosate in the brain, testicles, liver, blood and urine. The easiest thing to do with a topic like this, and we're all guilty of it as humans, is to turn a blind eye. But I simply can't, because I don't believe that my cancer was bad luck. Bowel cancer has risen by nearly 300% in 30 years, and this lines up perfectly with the dramatic increase in use of glyphosate in 1996. So I'm in agriculture myself, and I fully understand the convenience of this chemical. So I just wanted to let everybody know, and farmers in particular, that this is coming from a place of compassion because of what I've learned, and I'm just so seriously concerned for the children and for our future generations and the damage that this is causing to the human body.
I make the CBD scenic, so you can stroll and shop.
I collect the recycling bins, so we can enjoy our parks for years to come.
I test the water quality, so we all have access to clean and safe water.
I repair the roads that make reunions possible.
It's locals like you who make your council and community yours.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Almost out of time at the moment, but we do need to find out about our weather. Don't mention that word or words, wash car. Oops, pouring down. And to make things worse, don't mention the word or words, barbecue. Oops, here comes the great floods. Just love that music. Production department did a great job. Okay, that's about it. I'm going to leave you with this song, very emotional. And we do need to acknowledge that we are doing a terrible thing to magnificent creatures, the brumbies. And we've just got to stop it. It's not Australian. It's not how you treat animals. But far from it. So I want to play this. Just listen to the words. You get a bit teary, you're allowed to, but listen to the words. And we need to do something. We need to probably take back our country. We need to become as we were. Australia was a great country. It's and it still is, but it is slipping. We need to have each other's back. We need to look after our neighbours. We need to look after our country and the environment, of course. Windmills won't do that. based on a lie. And we need to look after animals because they rely on us in one way or another. So we do need to be kind. We do need to become more Australian. That's what I think. So here's that song. Absolutely beautiful.
Tell my fool I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Brumby hoof prints etched for generations in the snow. I've watched the foals become the mares, the stallions old and slow. Here in the snowy mountains where my life began, across hills, ridges and open plains my fellow Brumbies ran. I've led them through winter storms, drought and summer rain, but I can't outrun what follows now, shield my family from this pain. My ancestors crossed the oceans, but I was born upon this land. These mountains are my birthplace, the Snowies are my clan. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. Tell my foal I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Stay close beside me, little one. The thunder isn't rain. The sky itself is hunting us, and I cannot stop the pain. I gather those I love and turn to face the sound. Though every instinct tells me run, there's nowhere left for us now. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. I fall upon the ground, thunder again and again. My heart grows quiet as bullets rain. I thought I had more seasons, more rivers left to roam, more sunrises with my Kosciuszko clan before the mountains called me home. Tell them I was born here, my grandfathers fought their wars. Remind them that this was our home, the snowy mountains were ours. Tell my foal I knew her fear. Tell my mare I heard her call. Tell my foal I tried to save them. Tell the wind how Brumbies fall. Tell my foal I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye.